We have with us our own Yajuvendra Singh, former India cricketer and world record holder for a number of catches in an innings, and who has played with Wadekar. So I would like to ask him my first question. How did Wadekar become captain? What was that story? Which all youngsters must be eager to know, that era when he was captain. He was first elected as captain of India after Pataudi.
Interesting. First of all, for me, Ajit has always been not only a friend, we live in the same building, and he's been a very, very close associate as well. And interestingly, he spoke a lot about naturally the 1971. I would say that was the renaissance of Indian cricket as such. You know, it was the first time India not only beat West Indies, they beat England in England, both of them overseas. And then when England came to India, they won that series as well. We became actually the #1 test side in the world during that period. Till then, India used to win a few matches. Overseas, we had just won one series, and that was against New Zealand in '67 it was. But, so this was a grand moment for Indian cricket. You know, it's, like I said, the renaissance of Indian cricket. Now, the great part about the selection you were asking me was, it was very interesting because this is what Ajit had spoken to me about. He was in the running. There were 3 people in the running for India's captaincy that time, because Vijay Merchant was the main selector. There was Gopinath and Baldani, and I think somebody else was there as well. And Vijay Merchant had brought in a lot of youngsters into the side in '69 against Australia, and he was you could see there was a trend that was moving to a change in Indian cricket. And so during this very important day in Indian cricket history at CCI, there were the 5 selectors. There were only 4 selectors, because the 5th selector was not well. He was from the East and he didn't turn up. And so the names that were there were Pataudi, naturally, who was the existing captain, Ajit Wadekar, and Chandu Borde as well, because he had done extremely well in Ranji Trophy and first class cricket for Maharashtra as well as played for India. Chandu Borde somehow didn't find the same amount of backing, so it was left between the 2, and it was 2-all. 2 selectors were for Ajit Wadekar and 2 were for Nawab Todi. And Merchant, you know, he was a batsman who was very, very steady, never did anything out of the ordinary, never innovated too many shots or did anything that was out of the box. But in this case, he did something totally out of the box. He put his casting vote for Ajit Wadekar. And Wadekar, I remember, told me that he had come back. He was given a new flat from State Bank of India. He and Rekha, his wife, were moving into the flat. And when he came back after getting some curtain material and all for the flat, there was a whole lot of people who were sort of near the gate, and he said, "Oh God, some robbery, something must have happened in this building and this society," never realizing that they all were there to sort of celebrate with him and congratulate him to becoming the captain. He said, "That's when I found out I was the captain, you know, after this shopping trip." And so that was an interesting moment, and it was an interesting moment in Indian cricket where the chairman, for the first time, put the casting vote.
Now you have played with him also. May not be in Indian team. You played later on, I think, in '77, '78, and he retired somewhere in '74, I think. But with your interaction with the players in that era, there must have been some change in the dressing room. Earlier captain was Pataudi, who was class apart. We have already discussed about Pataudi. And suddenly a new captain, Wadekar. What was that change which the players informed you about?
See, I played 2 Ranji Trophy matches against him, youngster. For us, he was a legend. In the 70s, he was a very senior guy. To play against him was itself a very creditable thing. I remember years ago when he had visited Rajkot in my school, and I had sat there trying to get his autograph. So for me, it was a grand moment to play against him. But very interestingly, after he became captain, came the selection of the team. He had sort of requested Patodi to come back and play as a member of the side. Tiger Patodi said no, he was standing for elections or something, didn't through. But what he did very cleverly, because he was you have to remember, he was a Bombay cricketer brought up in the Maidans of Bombay. He knew exactly what cricket was all about, and he played it very hard, but he was a very astute captain, very quiet. He knew his cricket inside out, and he would make his plans and his strategy in a very quiet manner. So there are 3-4 very interesting things. One was naturally selection of the side. He didn't make a complete change in this Indian team. He brought in youngsters, but he also had the old people. He brought in Dilip Sardesai, he had Salim Durrani, he had M.L. Jayashima, he had, for the England tour, he got Abbas Ali Beg. So he had these old people, but he also brought in people like Vishwanath, Sunil Gavaskar naturally, he brought him in. And so he blended the side very well. So there was the old cricketers and the new cricketers, and most of them, he had played with them in at State Bank of India, because a lot of them worked for State Bank of India. So he knew the cricketers, and somehow he brought in that sort of a camaraderie, and that was his greatest sort of feat, that how he brought this team together to play a West Indian side under Gary Sobers. And what he did was, his first strategic move was very much in the first test match itself, where India had the lead of over 200 runs. One day was lost because of rain. The famous Dilip Sardesai got a double 100. Eknath Solkar, again a youngster who he had brought in, did extremely well. He sent Gavaskar to the West Indies team, who were sort of boisterous, making a noise, saying this match is ending in a draw because it's because of the rain. He told them, he put in a follow-on. That was because if it becomes a 4-day game, the follow-on target is 150, and these chaps had not got that target, so they'd got 180 or something, or we had the lead of 180. That was the first strategic move that he made, which you should have seen the silence in the West Indian side, and especially Gary Sobers, who didn't believe it. So he asked the umpire, is it true? Is this rule correct? And they said, and San was the umpire, who said yes. So see how he played. He played a very strategic game, and that was a great psychologically advantage that he got for India, an Indian side. And that was Ajit Wadekar. Not only about anything else, he played these sort of cards which went very much. We have seen that in Bombay cricket, and I've seen that in Ranji Trophy as well when you played against him. But he was a very, very smart sort of a captain.
Yeah. And there is a famous story about that 1971 West Indies series, that Salim Durrani had asked him that if this is what we hear from many cricket lovers and past cricketers, that he told Wadekar that if you want to win the match, give me the bowling. And next day he got 2 wickets of Lloyd and Sobers. So can you tell us something about that story?
Yeah, very, very interesting, because I've asked Salim Durrani as well about this, and also Ajit. What happened was, the night before, Salim came to, was just talking to people and saying that, look, I will get these 2 out. I know how to get them out, type of a thing. And this sort of whatever he said went off to Ajit Wadekar. And so Ajit went to, again, old hand, M.L. Jayashima. And he says, Salim Bhai is saying that give me the bowling and he will take these 2 wickets out because he can get them off. And so what he said was, Jaishima said, "Are you sure he told you this?" So he said, "Yes." He said, "Then give him the ball, because if Salim Bhai says that, that means he really means business." So that's how they gave him the ball. And I still asked him, he bowled one of the, you talk about ball of the century. It was like the ball of the century. He said, pitched outside the off stump to Gary Sobers and took his leg bail out. So that was his first wicket. And before that, he says, I saw Lloyd playing the on drive uppishly. He says, I put Ajit Wadekar on that short mid wicket. Ajit said, "Are you sure you want me in the short wicket?" He said, "Yes." And he flighted the ball, and Lloyd hit it straight to Ajit. And that was his wicket. So he got that wicket. Then after that, he told Ajit, which I gather from a lot of people. So Ajit said, "So come and bowl the next over, next 2 overs or whatever." He said, "No, I've told you I'm getting 2 wickets. Now you let the others people also get wickets." So that was Salim Durrani. He was a brilliant bowler. But Ajit Wadekar, again, you see his sensibility of being able to take an advantage of something like this. And there is another story also of Sunil Gavaskar. I mean, in the sense that every time Gary Sobers, initially he didn't have a good series, but then he decided if he touches Sunil Gavaskar before he went into bat, he would get runs. So in the morning he used to come and touch Sunil Gavaskar to get runs, to get luck. And on the last test match, which was a 6-day test match, and it was again, I think in Trinidad, 6th-day morning, what Ajit did was he saw this every time this chap would touch Sunil Gavaskar and get runs that same day. When Gary Sobers came in a friendly manner into the dressing room, he locked Sunil Gavaskar in the bathroom. So Gary Sobers kept on asking, "Where is young man Gavaskar, Sunny Gavaskar, where is he?" And he said, no, he's in the bathroom. So it got too late, and Gary Sobers could not get that lucky touch, as you would say. And that day, when he came later into bat, that afternoon he got a 0, and India then consolidated and didn't lose the match and all. That was Sunil. Even he went to that extent of being able to identify things. Like he decided that the only way we could win in England and in West Indies was through spin bowling. So he concentrated on spin. We had only one fast bowler in England, Govindraj, and he also didn't play a test match. I mean, so this is what he was all about. He had strategized what he was going to do. And this is because I was a successful Bombay captain. He played a lot of cricket around here in Bombay, and he was a very good judge of people, players, and field placement. This is where I think as a captain, I would rate him extremely high. And like I said, it was his Midas touch which became the renaissance of Indian cricket.
About that England series after West Indies, the first test match, I remember that time I was 10 years old, but somehow because of people around me, I was listening to commentary on BBC, and we were heading for a victory. Engineer and Gavaskar were stroking the ball, and suddenly wickets started falling and we were 8 down. And Solkar and Bedi were playing the first test match. And then after tea it rained and the match ended in a draw. Second test also, fourth day, we were 55 for 3 and a huge lead of 250 or 300, and again entire fifth day was washed out, and that match also ended in a draw. And then came that third test, and where we were I think 71 runs behind in the first innings. They were 355 and we were 284. And then came that magical spell of Chandrasekhar, and we could win that test match. So these were all golden memories. You have any special interaction with anyone, or you remember any